Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm back. It was only less than a week, though, since you last seen me. Wrapped up my team preview series last week. Decided to give myself a little bit of a break from the content creation outside of my Colts Wire article that I've done. And then I also had to tidy up some other things in my life. But now I'm ready to get back into the content creation. The season is here. So I'm just going to keep on pumping out some videos on this channel for you guys. If you have not checked out my team season preview videos, please go check that out. I did one on every single team. And if you want to maybe get some advice on some fantasy football players, you can go check out my opinions on those videos that I posted over the month of August. But today's video, I am doing a season prediction video. I told you guys I wanted to get this out a week prior to the season, so that gives people plenty of time to check it out. So yeah, what you can expect today, I'm going to go over the NFC. I'm going to start there because since they are the defending conference champ, Super Bowl champs with the Bucks. Then I'm going to go to the AFC. I'm going to take a look at award predictions, and then I'm going to show you my playoff teams that I have predicted, and then give you guys my Super Bowl winners. So let's just go ahead and get into today's episode. Starting with the NFC. How I did this, how I formatted divisions. I went by which division went the longest in the playoffs. So obviously we're going to start with the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're the reigning defending Super Bowl champs. They are the team to beat this year. They are the team that you want to beat in the NFC if you want to make it to the Super Bowl. And probably is going to be the team you want to beat if you want to win the Super Bowl if you're coming from the AFC. So I don't think that anything's going to change with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're going to win the NFC South, as you can see with my predictions here with that division. And I expect them to wrap up the number one seed and have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Only thing I could see going wrong for the Buccaneers is if all of a sudden health becomes a major issue. Now for the rest of the division, it's kind of tossed up in the air. Now, I forgot to mention, I'll probably mention this throughout the whole episode. You can use playoffpredictors.com where you can go through the entire NFL season schedule and pick the winners for every game. I did that multiple times last night as I worked on my script just to get a gauge on how I feel how the seasons could turn out for all these teams. And between the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints, I mean, I had multiple times where maybe I had the Saints finishing second in this division. I've had the Panthers finishing second, and as you can see, I have the Falcons finishing second. I try to go with my gut feeling on the final decision and the consensus finish ranking whenever I did the playoff season predictor. And I'm telling you right now, I could see either three teams, the Falcons, the Panthers, or the Saints finishing second in this division. The Falcons, to me, right now, I kind of gear towards them maybe finishing second because you know what you got in Matt Ryan. I think they could be a decent offense this year, even without Julio. I think their defense is a little bit better than last year. It's a new coach, so maybe you're going to see this team rejuvenated to win some games. So I would not be surprised if they finish second. The Panthers, to me, though, that's a team that, I feel like if they had a different quarterback other than Sam Darnold, they probably would have ended up being the team that I picked to finish second, but I think he's going to end up being a detriment to the team. They need to fix their offensive line. There are some question marks on their defense as well. So I think I had this kind of being an up and down season for the Panthers. Most of the time when I was going through the season, I actually had them starting off hot because of their opening schedule, like in the first 8 weeks, and then things get tough in that back end, and that's where they kind of fell down in the season standings for the South. And then with the Saints, with Sean Payton, I could definitely see them finishing second. But as I said in my team season preview, I think this is going to be a long transition year without Drew Brees. I know everything looked good in that one preseason game with Jameis, but I mean, we got to see it actually in a regular season matchup for a 17-game stretch if Jameis can be that. Last time we saw Jameis, he was 30-30. I think they're going to have their struggles this year, especially, my thoughts and prayers are with the New Orleans area because of the hurricane they've had to deal with. They're currently dealing with that. The Saints and Packers opening game is now in Jacksonville. And that's not easy for grown men to be like, because they're in the Saints are in Dallas right now, and then they got to go to Jacksonville for the game. They're not going to be in New Orleans for the first month. it's going to be a rocky situation for them to go through. And I think this is going to be a rough year for the Saints. And their opening, like, first 8 weeks is a very tough schedule. So I think it's going to be a down year for the Saints. And I would not be surprised if they do finish last in this division. I'm going to go ahead and keep it moving to the NFC North. I got the Green Bay Packers winning the division just because they're returning everybody. Outside of some pieces on their offensive line, I don't expect anything to really change for the Packers, so I definitely expect them to win the division. Now, I will say the fact that David Bakhtiari is on the PUP list and will have to miss the first 6 games, that is not your most ideal start for the Packers because they're entering the season with a retooled offensive line, and they're not going to have their best offensive line. Well, Elton Jenkins is making a strong point, but end up being their best offensive lineman, but David Bakhtiari is the star tackle on that team. And without him, that's just going to make that line a little bit leakier to start the season. But I think they have enough to overcome that. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got plenty of skill position players. They got a strong defense as well. So I think they're going to probably manage their way through the season and win the North. Now, the one team I think they could push for them for that title is the Minnesota Vikings. I definitely do believe the Vikings are going to be a playoff team this year. I think they could potentially push to win this division if Coach Zimmer can totally retool that defense. It's going to depend on how that defense looks throughout the year. And then if that offense can perform like they did last year, then you're going to have a pretty strong, balanced team. And then they really need is Kirk Cousins to get hot at the right time. So they can make sure they do indeed make the playoffs. But I think the Minnesota Vikings is going to be a very tough team for teams to deal with throughout the season. And then the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions, I'm pretty firm that the Chicago Bears will probably finish third in this division. I think at some point they're going to make that turn to Justin Fields, and I think he's going to help them win start winning more games. But they have a pretty tough schedule themselves as well. And they got the offensive line issues. They really don't have much out of like Allen Robinson that scares you, and I mean David Montgomery's solid, but he doesn't scare you, I would say. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a rough year for Chicago. I think at some point, I would not be surprised if Matt Nagy is let go throughout the season. If how I went through the season predictions last night when I was on Playoff Predictor, man, the Bears might have a very rough go at it to start the year, and Bears fans might be very upset if that does indeed happen. And then with the Detroit Lions, I think they're just going to finish last. I just don't think they have enough. Their defense is going to completely struggle. It's a brand new coach with a very weak roster in a lot of spots. So I think it's just going to be a down year for Detroit, and I really don't expect them to win much. They'll probably be picking in the top 5, top 10 once again this year. Moving on to the NFC West. Now, this is the one that was very hard for me to figure out, and I went through the Playoff Predictor multiple times, and I pretty much had the Rams win one. I've had the Cardinals win one. I think even the 49ers, because I think if I remember right, the 49ers have a pretty favorable schedule where if they can handle the games they're supposed to win, they're going to be in a good position to win this division. The one team that did struggle to be up in the top is the Seattle Seahawks. They have a rough start of their season with their schedule. They were at one point, most of the time when I was going through the predictor, they were like even below 500 at times, but then they kind of eases up at the end of the season, and then they work their way towards like being 500. I know there's some times when I was going through the season, I had like all 4 teams at times throughout the year with a record over 500. So that's how strong I think this division is. I've said this multiple times. I do believe they're going to eat each other alive. And I could see 3 out of these 4 teams making the playoffs. I got the Rams winning the division just because I trust Sean McVay. I think Matthew Stafford is going to take this offense to the next level. And I do think this is probably the best overall team in this division. So I'm leaning towards the Rams winning the division. I do think the Cardinals will push them. It's going to depend on them figuring out that cornerback group, especially with Malcolm Butler. Looks like he is retiring. So there are some things they had to work out on that defense, but I think their offense with Kyler Murray is going to be very explosive this year, and I think they're going to put up a lot of points. And as long as their offense can put up the points and their defense can somewhat keep them at bay, maybe with the pressure up front with like J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, I think they're gonna work their way through the season. I think this is going to be a very strong season. I think Cliff Kingsbury also understands he needs to win as well. So I think the Cardinals are going to push for this division title, and we're going to see some fireworks out of that offense in Arizona. Now, the 49ers are an intriguing team to me because I'm not sure how to feel about them. Because I think, Jimmy G's going to get the start, and then you think at some point we're going to see Trey Lance, Kyle Shanahan reference maybe even seeing both of them on game days. So with the 49ers, I think they have if their defense can stay healthy, I think they have enough where they're going to be able to push for the division title and even push for a playoff spot. Now, I will say this, if health comes to concern, that's when the things can fall apart for the 49ers, as it always has in the past recent years. But I definitely think San Francisco's a good team that can win this division because they got Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's a genius, and as long as he's got his full roster to disposal on game days, I think he's going to win a lot of games. And like I mentioned, when I was going through the playoff predictor last night, they got a very favorable schedule to start the season. They can get an early jump on this division if they can win those games they can win. And then the Seattle Seahawks, they're with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. They're always going to be competitive. They're always going to be able to potentially win this division and crack into the playoffs. But at some point, you can't just put it all on Russell, as I mentioned in my preview video for the Seahawks. At some point, you got to get more out of like other players. You got to get more out of the running game. You got to get a balance of the passing attack, get somebody to emerge outside of DK and Tyler, and then you just got to get you got to get better play to begin the season out of that defense. But it's so weird because I could see Seattle finishing from the bottom of this division as I got them predicted, but I also could see them winning this division because of Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. So this division is going to be very interesting to follow this year. This is, I will say, the best division in the NFL. I got two divisions. Spoiler alert! I got two divisions where I think I have three teams I think will end up finishing into the playoffs, and those two divisions I feel like are the best in the NFL right now. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the NFC with the NFC East. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I do got the Cowboys winning the division. I know everybody's on the football teams, but on the hype train for the football team, which is rightfully deserved. They got a great defense, but I don't know. I slightly lean towards the Cowboys because this is becoming more of an offensive league. Even though how great the football team's defense can be this year and probably will be this year. I did say they're a top 5 defense on my preview video. But with the Cowboys, I just think they're going to be more explosive. I think we're going to see a strong season out of Dak. I think we could potentially see a very good season out of Zeke. They got 3 wide receivers they can spread the ball to. So I think they're going to put up a lot of points. Now, it is going to be on their defense as always, but I do think the defense is slightly improved. And if it can just at least perform at an average level, I think that will be enough for them to win the division. And another reason why I kind of leaned them over the football team is just because, I got to be honest, like, I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic is blessed us with so many amazing scenes in the NFL over the, decade that he's been a quarterback all over the place. But the fact is, like, he's a streaky quarterback. He's going to have his down moments. And I think when he has his down moments, that's going to hold this team back from winning games that they need to win in order to win this division. And I just think it's going to end up being a detriment. I know Fitzpatrick fans probably don't want to hear that, but at some point you got to be real about who he is. I mean, he's a year older than he was last year. So where is he at in terms of his arm talent? And I point this out. I think I said this in my football team preview video. His entire career, he's never been to the playoffs. So we don't have a history of him leading a team into the postseason. So we're going to expect that's going to change now. It's just I have a hard time grasping that. I am sorry. As much as fun as he can be on and watching football, I just do. I lean towards the Cowboys. I could definitely see the football team winning this division. It's going to, and let me just say this too. When I went through the playoff predictor multiple times, these two teams flip flopped every time I would do it. They were within a game of each other, and that's probably going to have what's going to happen at the end of the season. It's probably going to come down to the last game of the season, the last week of the year, who wins the division between the Cowboys and football team. Now, I know I said in my Giants preview that I think they could be sneakily good this year. I still think they can, but just based on what we've seen in the preseason and the reports, they just got like a lot of little bad juju around them right now. So I've kind of stepped back off that stance. I mean, I do think they have enough on their defense. It's going to be on the offense. If the offense can figure it out early, I do believe the Giants can push to win this division. I really do believe that. But I'm kind of backing off that just for right now. I think they're definitely the third best team in this division. But if everything can hit right on that offense, I think they can push the Cowboys and the football team. But right now, I got them as the third best team in the division. And then last, I got the Eagles. I don't really expect that to change. I think they're going to have a lot of struggles this year. There's a lot of work to do on that roster. It's Nick Sirianni's first year as the head coach. I think there's going to be a team that they're at the bottom end of this division right now, but I think they're going to upset teams here and there throughout the year. And I definitely think they're going to play these teams within the division tough as well. So that's how I have the NFC divisions finishing out. I will get to the playoff picture later on in this episode. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get into the AFC. Again, just like how I formatted the NFC, I started with whatever division went the furthest into the playoffs. Chiefs went to the Super Bowl, so we're gonna start with the AFC West. And to no surprise, I got the Chiefs winning the division. There's no change there. They're hands down the best team. Well, hands down right now, the best team in the AFC. They are the team to beat. I don't expect that to change. They got a retooled offensive line, a kind of slightly retooled defense. So they're going to be, once again, a team that's going to put up and win like 12, 13 plus wins this year. And I don't think any team is going to push them for that division title this year. Now, the two teams that I think are going to maybe have something to say about it, though, I will say is the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're going to be a very strong team in year two with Justin Herbert and underneath the head coach of Brandon Staley. Their biggest thing with them is that defense. If that defense can stay healthy, this is a team I think can finish second in the division and push for a playoff spot. And then with the Denver Broncos, I can also see the Broncos finishing second in this division. I just gave the Chargers the slight edge over them because I like Justin Herbert over Teddy Bridgewater or even Drew Lock if Drew Lock ends up replacing Teddy at some point. So I went with sometimes when it comes to these tiebreakers for me, I lean towards who's the better quarterback. So I got the Chargers finish second. The Broncos, though, they got a legit defense. They got some legit skill position players. Their offensive line can be good. It's just going to be on if Teddy can manage to get them to win games. I do think though the Chargers and the Broncos will end up pushing for a playoff spot. And then with the Las Vegas Raiders, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a down year. I just don't think they have enough firepower right now to keep up with the rest of the division. I don't think they have the defense to slow down the offenses like the Chiefs and the Chargers, even potentially the Broncos. So I'm seeing a rough year out of the Raiders. I'm going to go ahead and keep this moving, though. The AFC East, I got the Buffalo Bills winning. Pretty simple there. I think they are hands down easily the best team in the AFC East. I think Josh Allen's going to continue his growth as a player. Their defense is a lot better than it was last year, and I think they're going to pretty much handle this division. I don't really see any other teams pushing for them. Maybe who I have in second, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, for me, like they got a good strong defense. I really like Brian Flores as a head coach. They have a potentially explosive offense as long as Tua can deliver this year. I am a believer that Tua can turn around from his last year. I said that in my preview video. I think the Dolphins have enough what it takes to push for the playoffs this year. But I mean, with this whole Deshaun Watson to Miami news, I know like the head coach is saying everything right. I know Tua came out and said he's ignoring all of it. But for me, I mean, that's got to mess with that team chemistry, right? So like, I just wonder if that's going to play a factor in the Dolphins season and mess with their chemistry. If it doesn't, this is going to be a strong team that will be pushing for the playoffs, and I definitely think they're the second best team in this division. Third, I got the Patriots. I know I can't believe they actually released Cam and they're going with Mac Jones, but that doesn't change my opinion. I don't think they're going to be better with Mac Jones. He's going to get the job done. He's going to do what Bill wants out of him, but at some point, I'm wondering if Mac Jones has enough where you can put everything on his back and lead this team to victories. Now he has a defense that's going to help him win games in New England, but at some point the quarterback has to win you the games. I'm not sure that's going to be Mac Jones. I think they are a playoff caliber team because of the defense and because of Bill Belichick, but I think they might end up falling short of expectations just because they're dealing with a rookie quarterback who will also go through his growing pains, no matter how smart the kid is. And then the Jets are in a complete rebuild year. That defense is a mess right now. People are getting hurt. They don't really have a secondary. Their offense can be fun to watch, but they're going to struggle to win games because of that defense. And this is a completely establish the culture and retool this entire roster year for Robert Saleh, the head coach. Moving on to the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. Let me start again. So I said the NFC West was the best division in the league. This is the second best division. This was the one that I had a difficult time figuring out who I wanted to win. When I went to the playoff predictor, I had the Browns, Ravens, and Steelers all winning this division. Now, you guys are going to laugh. I said this on my preview video. I think the Bengals are going to be very sneakily good this year, and I think they're going to surprise some teams throughout the season because I think the Bengals have a very favorable schedule. There were times when I was going through the playoff predictor, I had them sitting at around 500 for most of the year. But because of how strong I believe the Browns and the Ravens and the Steelers are, I have them finishing fourth. But don't be surprised if they're in the mix towards the back end of the year, and if they can just put it together a streak of like 5 or 6 games and winning in the row, they can maybe sneak into the playoffs. Laugh at me all you want, but people laughed at me 2 years ago when I said the Bills were going to make the playoffs with Josh Allen in year 2, and I end up being right. So I do think though the Bengals, this is just not their probably year to make the playoffs, just because how tough the AFC is as a whole, and then the division they're in. So I got them finishing fourth, and then I got the Steelers at third. I don't know. I really like the Steelers defense, but I still am I'm up in the air on their offense. I really am. I don't know if I can trust that offensive line. Najee Harris will bring, a good rushing attack, but will good defensive fronts be able to set the edge on them? Because of their current tackle situation. So I think that offense is going to have some struggles at times, and the defense is not going to be able to do enough to bail them out. And when I was going through the playoff predictor, they have a very rough start to their year. Since they won the division, they won the division last year. They play a lot of the top upper echelon teams throughout the season. I got the Ravens finishing second. Now, man, I could definitely see the Ravens finishing lower though. I really can. The loss of J.K. Dobbins hurts. They don't have Rashad Bateman for the first 3 weeks. So how is this offense going to look? But I think they're going to be able to get by, though, with Lamar and what they have. And then they got such a very good defense. I think that's going to get them through. They're going to be able to ground and pound their way throughout the season. But I think at some point the lack of the passing attack will kind of catch up to them in some of their matchups. So that's why I got them finishing second. First place, I got the Browns. I just really like what they can bring on offense this year, and I think they're going to be very explosive on their offense, and I think that's going to help them win a lot of games. And as long as they can stay healthy on defense, I think they got enough to help bring a nice little balance between their offense and defense. And I got them winning their first division title since what, I think like 1989. So got the Browns winning the North. But again, though, I could see the Ravens winning the division. I could see the Steelers to win the division. And if everything were to go right, watch out for the Bengals. I'm just saying. I am just saying. I'm probably going to regret it, but I'm just saying. AFC South. Yes, I can be biased, guys. I got the Tennessee Titans winning the division. I went through it multiple times. I had some Colts winning it sometimes. I had the Titans winning it sometimes. I ended up settling with the Titans just because we know what they have in Ryan Tannehill. You know, the Colts, you know, they're dealing with injury issues, COVID issues. You know, the Colts don't know who they have in Carson Wentz until real action happens. And it's going to take him time to get acclimated at the beginning of the season. So I slightly gave the edge to the Titans winning the division, but I could definitely see the Colts winning it as well because the Titans have a pretty tough schedule. Anytime I was going through it, the Colts kind of had a rough start. You know, they're sitting like barely over 500, but then the Colts' schedule gets a lot easier at the back end of the year. So then I end up having the Colts like pushing them for the division, sometimes winning it, sometimes coming in second. I settled with the Titans, but I think it's going to come down between those two teams. Jaguars, to me, you know, this is definitely a first year underneath Urban Meyer. They're going to go through some growing pains, but don't be surprised if they beat some teams here and there. And then I got the Texans as the worst team. Like, I couldn't even lie to myself. I could not, like, find them a win. Like, maybe they beat the Jets. Maybe. You know, this team is probably going to be the first 0-17 team ever because it's the first year with the 17-game schedule. But Texans are going to be pretty bad. Now, before I go into the playoffs, let's talk about awards. Here are my awards. I'm going to go over this really quick. MVP, Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's going to continue what he did last year, put up some astronomical numbers, especially with that extra game. He's going to, you know, help the team win the division. And if everything were to go right, I don't have this in my playoff predictor, but if everything were to go right and they were to win the number 1 seed and have home field advantage, I think that would definitely secure him as the MVP. But I'm going with Josh. I could definitely see, you know, probably Patrick Mahomes winning it. That's chalk, kind of. I guess Josh Allen's is kind of chalk too, but I went with Josh Allen. Now, here, I should have did more history and research into this, but my offensive player of the year. I'm not sure if there's ever been like a quarterback to win the MVP and another quarterback to win the offensive player of the year. Sometimes it's the MVP and the offensive player of the year. I'm in the boat where if the quarterback always wins the MVP, maybe we should just give the offensive player of the year to a running back, wide receiver, or a tight end. But I don't know, I just couldn't find myself with any of those position players picking them. I actually picked Kyler Murray because I think Kyler Murray is going to be so electric this year. I think he's going to put up so many yards through the air. He's going to put up so many yards through the ground. And I think that's going to help him win an award and help lead the Cardinals to the playoffs this year. I think we're in store for him to push for the MVP. The reason why I didn't give him the MVP, because as you can remember, I have the Cardinals finishing second in their division. But if the Cardinals were to win the division, I think that propels him over Josh, where he would win the MVP over Josh Allen. But I do got him as the offensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year is Myles Garrett. I swear he could have won one in the last 2 years if he didn't have to deal with that stupid suspension for his dumb decision with that whole helmet issue. And then last year he got COVID, which kind of derailed his really strong season that he was having. So I'm picking Myles Garrett. I think he's going to be freaking dominant this year, and he's going to maybe push for the sack record. Offensive rookie of the year. I was looking at quarterbacks. I was looking at running backs. Who do I want? Jalen Waddle. I said this in my Dolphins preview. I have such a gut feeling this kid's going to be special. I really do. They got him returning punts, so I think his beginning of his rookie year, he's going to like start turning heads. He's going to return a couple punts for a touchdown, and then Tua's going to start connecting with him on bomb touchdowns. They're going to probably use him on end arounds and little gadget plays, and he's going to take the top off of defense. He's going to take a screen and go all the way to the house. I think he's going to have a very strong year, and I'm picking Jalen Waddle to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, is I'm not really talking fantasy show. Go draft him on your bench. He was my last skill position player. I spent my draft pick on one of my money leagues last year. I think he's going to have an outstanding year for Miami. My defensive rookie of the year is Kwity Paye. Yeah, I'm going with the Colts pick. Don't blame me. But let me just explain. He looks so ready. If anybody's watched him in the preseason, he already looks like he's in midseason form. He already looks coached up and as a perfect fit for this Colts defense. Now I understand preseason, regular season is different, but he's doing this on his own next to the backup defensive tackles. When the Colts get to the regular season, Kwity Paye is going to be lined up next to DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. He's going to get one-on-one opportunities. I think he's going to be able to rack up a lot of sacks as a rookie, and that's going to help him win this reward. So I got Kwity Paye as a defensive rookie of the year, comeback player of the year. A lot of good choices, but I went with Dak Prescott since I have the Cowboys winning the division. Head coach of the year. Those ones are always kind of hard to pick. Usually it goes to a coach that wins the division. I went with Sean McVay because I think the NFC West is the best division, and whoever is the NFC West winner, I think that coach probably should earn coach of the year. General manager of the year, that one's kind of like hard to deal with, but the fact that Jason Light brought back everybody to this Bucks team, and he added a Joe Tryon and Giovanni Bernard, I give the edge to Jason Light as being the general manager of the year. Probably what I think he got it last year too, so that would be 2 years in a row. All right, so I'm already at the 30-minute mark, so why don't I quickly go over my playoff predictions and get you guys out of here. For the playoff predictor, let's go with the. What I'll probably end up doing is putting these side by side. I'll just start with the AFC. AFC, this is what I got. I got the Kansas City Chiefs as a 1 seed, Buffalo Bills as a 2, Tennessee Titans as a 3, Cleveland Browns as a 4, Baltimore Ravens as a 5, Indianapolis Colts as a 6, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at the 7th. Yep, I end up going with the 3 of the AFC North teams to make it. But let me say this, the playoff caliber teams, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that I think could take over one of those wild card spots, possibly the Bengals, the Broncos if everything goes right with Teddy, or even Drew if he comes in, the Chargers if they can stay healthy, the Dolphins as long as the Deshaun Watson news isn't affecting that roster, and the Patriots. I will say this, I felt pretty comfortable putting the top 6 in, and then or the top 4 in, and then maybe the Ravens I feel strong about. The Colts I do actually feel strong about, being as biased. I really do feel strong that they'll make the playoffs this year as a wild card team. The teams I really were debating if I should be putting in were the Dolphins. I do think the Dolphins could be a playoff team. I just gave the slight edge to the Steelers just because it's like Big Ben's, last hurrah. That defense is really strong, and there's all this drama surrounding the Tua, the Dolphins, and Deshaun Watson. So the Dolphins, I think, were the main one. I felt like maybe I could have slid them in, but I could see any of those teams being a wild card team. The NFC, obviously the Bucks 1 seed, the Packers the 2 seed, the Los Angeles Rams the 3 seed, the Cowboys the 4 seed. I got the Cardinals as the 5th seed, the Minnesota Vikings as the 6th seed, and the 49ers as the 7th seed. And then I just don't think there's a lot to bring and a lot to push, and I'm probably going to be wrong, I'm sure, on some of this, but I only got the football team and the Seahawks as playoff caliber teams. I could see the football team, either making it as the East Division winner, or they might have a better record than some of the NFC West teams just because of how tough the NFC West is. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the Seahawks, I could see them winning the division. So I once again, I have 3 NFC West teams making it. Now, taking a look at the NFC Championship and AFC and NFC Championship game, I got the Bills over the Chiefs. I do. I think their retooled defense up front is going to help them win games. And if they could I do got the Chiefs with the home field advantage, but if the Bills can manage to get the home field advantage for the playoffs this year, I think they're going to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. But I think they got enough to go into Arrowhead and upset the Chiefs this year and be the new representative of the AFC. And then the NFC Championship game, yeah, I got the Bucks over the Rams. I mean, the Bucks are just so loaded at so many positions. I think they're going to be able to handle their conference, but I think the Rams could be that team that pushes them to represent them in the Super Bowl. And now I need to get better at editing my videos so I can do a drum roll. My Super Bowl prediction: Buffalo Bills beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Josh Allen on some epic final minute drive. Brady already just took the Bucks down and to put them in position to lead, but he's running around. Josh Allen can't find anybody. Oh, who's that? a guy from a Super Bowl that was playing the Chiefs a couple years ago with the Niners. Oh, it's Emmanuel Sanders coming across the middle. He connects with him to put him down at the 20. Josh runs around, scrambles to the 10, and then he finds Diggs in the back of the end zone to win the game. That's my prediction. Josh Allen, Super Bowl MVP. The Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl. But yeah, that's my season prediction video, guys. I hope you did enjoy that. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I am going to be planning on pumping out content. And I do want to give an update to people that follow me. I have recently, pretty pumped about it. I've accepted a new job. It's a Monday through Friday type of job. It's a day job. So my content creation schedule will be changing. It'll be a little bit different from in past recent years. But what you can expect out of me for content this year, I'm going to be with Colts Wire still. So I'm still going to pump out my Colts articles. So keep tuned for that. And then as far as my YouTube video content, I'm definitely going to do my weekly prediction preview videos like I've done in the past. Now, normally those would come out on like a Friday morning. I plan on, as of right now, I plan on coming home and recording that and publishing that on Friday nights this season, possibly Saturday mornings, depending on if anything were to come up for me on Fridays. But you would at least get that by Saturday so you at least have a day to check out my season preview videos. For fantasy, maybe things change right now, but my boy, everybody remembers Rob. I used to do a show with him. He's kind of in a transition period. He's about to be moving somewhere new. So I'm not sure if we're going to do a show this year. So what I think I'm going to do, especially with me being busy during the week with my new job, is I'm going to make like little 5 to 10 minute videos. So I'm going to do, like, everybody knows I like to stream defenses. And I'm actually going to try to do my top 5 week 1 streaming defense video here probably at some point this weekend. But I'm probably going to do like a weekly top. I'm probably going to combine them together. I'm probably going to combine my weekly waiver wires and my weekly streamable defenses like in a video I can publish like on Tuesday nights for you guys. And then I probably will do a start sit video, like a 10-15 minute start sit video on like a Wednesday night for you guys. And then that will probably be it for fantasy content. And then I'm going to try to figure out a way maybe I can go live too on Sunday mornings. I want to be more interactive with my subscribers. So I will say this. If you guys start commenting on my videos or reaching out to me on Twitter with questions, I will actually answer those questions in my videos for you as well. So do that. Just stay tuned with me, guys. It's going to be a evolving process as I figure out my new job and figure out what exactly type of content I will be producing throughout the season. But again, thank you for tuning in. Oh, one last thing, Prospect Encyclopedia. If you haven't go check it out, please go buy it. Go to prospectencyclopedia.com to check it out. You can get the Bucks section PDF for free, which I did. Download it, read it over. If that impresses you enough, you can go get an individual team PDF for $1 or go get the whole thing for $15. It's a great thing for you to sound smart on game day. So if you go order it before next week's game against the Bucks and the Cowboys, read that Bucks section, read that Cowboy section, and then when you're with your friends watching the game, when some random guy makes a tackle, you don't know who it is, or they don't know who it is, you will because you read the book. So definitely go check that out. I'm gonna head out, guys. I'll see you whenever I do my next video.